everybody, welcome back. This video is going to solve one major problem. If you've ever stared at an S.E.A story writing prompt and wondered to yourself, I don't even know where to start with this story. Or maybe you're a parent whose child keeps getting the comment that this story is rushed, that this story has evidence of no clear planning, that this story has no direction. Or maybe you understood the prompt, you got started, but you didn't know how to carry through and follow through to the end. This video is for you. In this video, I'm going to show you a clear method called CSPACE, which helps students to understand and analyze the story prompt. And in the very next video, we're going to get started on how you develop the story from beginning, middle, and all the way down to the end. But this is just the planning process. Let's go. Alright guys, let's get into this video. As you know, in this video, we're looking at analyzing creative writing story prompts. In other words, the first step that the student must engage in before writing is understanding what the question is asking so that they can accurately and comfortably prepare a plan for the story before they start writing the story. Okay, the reason for this is that proper planning prevents poor performance. And yes, that is an alliteration. As an English teacher, I love alliterations because they help us to remember things. This alliteration is a very popular one when it comes to planning. At any level, it's a strategy performance. It's called the 6 P's of planning. So what we're going to do is first we are going to seek to understand what the prompt is asking us. Then we are going to make the plan. If we do not understand, we cannot plan. And the planning tool that I'm introducing you to today is CSP, which is the first half of CSPACE. In the next video, I'll introduce you to the second half of CSPACE, which is the ACE of CSPACE. So the CSP and the ACE come together to create one pre-writing tool, which the student can use to first analyze the prompt, which is an extremely important step, and then plan the story. So let's take a look at S.E.A Creative Writing 2025 option number 1. This is the question that students were supposed to write on when I helped to mark the S.E.A this year. I can't believe this is happening to me, I screamed as I read the message on my phone. Write a story that includes this line. And as you can see, I have underlined the words includes this line because you must include this line if you are writing this story. These 2 lines, the dialogue portion in the quotation marks, as well as the portion that says I screamed as I read the message on my phone, must be included if you are answering option 1. Whenever you see instructions that say write a story that includes this line, you must write a story that includes this line. Whether you put that line at the beginning of your story, in the middle of your story, or all the way down to the end of your story is entirely up to how you've planned your story, but to include the line you must. Okay, so the next thing the instructions say would be you may include vivid descriptions and sensory details about the reason for screaming, what happened next, and how the experience ended. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If you are doing CSP and then ACE with me, if you're doing CSPACE with me, I'll tell you right now that this portion of CSPACE, this half of the question, it's trying to run away from me. This half of the question, which is coming up now, this portion is the CSP portion. And the second portion of the question, this portion is the ACE portion. Okay, so let's analyze and break down the prompt using the CSP and the ACE in the next video. First thing we have to decide would be who, when and where, and what. The prompt has already given us answers to these things. So let's go do some detective work and find the who the story is about, when and where the story is taking place, and what is this story supposed to be about. I would suggest that you draw a table on your planning paper. Draw a table, put 3 columns down. right? 3 columns. Or you can write CSP and then do arrows where the three portions are horizontal. So your rows go like this, CS, then P. Or you can do C, S, and then P. It's entirely up to you, but a table is a good way to organize your plan. The first column will have your C, who is the main character in the story. The second column will have your S, your setting, where and when is the story taking place, and what is happening to the character. And the P, the third column, will have what challenge, surprise, or mystery is facing this character. So, I can't believe this is happening to me. I screamed as I read the message on my phone. This, if I have to ask the question, who is the main person telling this story? I'm the person telling this story. This is happening to me. I'm the one doing the screaming. I'm the one reading the message. It is my phone. This is a story all about me. So students will have to think about who they are. Are they young, old, male, female? That main person is up to you. And in my story, I am a 12-year-old girl. Yes, I am. So for the setting of the story now, the S in the prompt, I'm going looking for when is this story taking place. This is happening to me. I've read the message on my phone, and I know that some of you are history buffs, but I'm going to just keep it very, very simple. If this is a story that's taking place on my phone, this is going to be happening in modern times. All right. If I have my phone, this story is happening in modern times most likely. I then get to choose what day of the week it is, what time of day it is. All of that is up to me. But there are some advanced students who may be able to do a flashback technique where the character is flung into some ancient setting where phones did not exist. Now, you're going to have to manage that properly, and only advanced students can really pull that off. But simple does not mean ineffective. All right, so why not keep it simple? Let's go to the where the story is taking place. This story can be taking place at school. I may be at home. I may be at some kind of training for sports, swimming, gymnastics, football, cricket, etc. I may be in the library. I may be at a friend's house. What is this that is happening to me, and where is it happening is the S part of my C space, the CSP, in this first part of the series. So for my setting, I've decided that this story is taking place when in 2025, and it is Wednesday afternoon after school, and I am at gymnastics training. I'm at the gym where we're doing the tumbling and the rolls and all the things, and that's what happened. That's what's happening. That's where I am when I get the message on my phone. Okay. The next thing that I see, or that I have to go looking in the prompt for, and I have to analyze the prompt to see the problem. This is about what is happening to me. What is this message on my phone saying? Is it presenting a mystery or a challenge? Is it something positive? Am I screaming because I'm overjoyed? Or is it something negative and I am screaming out of agony and pain? Well, that is something that the writer, the student, has to decide. Creative writing should not stifle creativity. Creative writing should cause creativity to blossom and to grow. You have lots of reasons why you might be screaming. It's entirely up to the student. So, in my story, the message on my phone is very good news, and I am ecstatic to receive this very good news. So how do we apply CSP to option 2 of the creative writing exam for 2025? Option 2 is a little bit different, and students are going to have different ways that they interpret option 2, and both options might be correct. Both choices that students might make would be correct. Again, creative writing is about allowing your creativity to blossom and to be depicted, demonstrated on a page. So option 2 said, bright, dazzling lights from outside reflected on the walls of Kylan's room. He was stunned by what he saw when he looked out the window. Write a story based on this scenario. And again, I have put in purple and underline those words based on this scenario. Now, you might remember when we looked at option 1, the instruction said that we needed to include this line. That is not what's said here. In option 2, the story does not have to include word for word the words bright dazzling lights from outside reflected on the walls of Kylan's room. That is not necessary. However, once your story gets to a place, starts in the middle or ends in a place where there are bright dazzling lights outside a room, the room belongs to a boy named Kylan. The boy is stunned. The boy goes to the windows to see where the lights are coming from. Your story is going to be more than acceptable. You can write a perfectly exemplary story based on this scenario because that is what the instructions say and that is what the examiner is looking for. What else is the examiner looking for? Well, they expect you to include vivid descriptions and sensory details about what Kylan saw outside his room, what were the events that followed, and how the experience ended. And you might remember that we are going to look at this half of the prompt in the next video, this one called ACE. Okay, so how can we plan for the CSP portion of the question? We're going to draw our table. Our table is either going to be 3 horizontal rows or 3 vertical columns with our C, S, and P. I've chosen to go with 3 vertical columns. My first column is where I have to answer the question, who is the main person? My second column is where I have to say when and where is the story taking place to the person that I identified in the first question. And then my problem is what challenge, surprise, or mystery is facing the character that I identified in the first column. So when I look at this, the first thing that I think is that this story is about a boy named Kylan, that he is not telling the story, that the story is being told about him. He is in his room, it's about what he saw, and the person who is telling the story is not necessarily in the room with Kylan, but they are looking on almost like a fly on the wall, and they can speak about what Kylan does and what he sees, etc., how he behaves. However, the advanced student can see that there's a little bit more that can be unpacked in this story. Some students will read this prompt and I must say, accurately notice that the writer of the story can also be in the room with Kylan. This student may say, Kylan is having a friend over, and the friend is the person who's looking at Kylan do all of these things. He sees when Kylan sees the lights on the wall. He sees when Kylan is shocked and when he goes to the window. And this student knows that it's Kylan's room, but it's about what they both saw. And the student may be able to tell the story because they were there with Kylan. And that is a remarkable demonstration of exemplary level critical thinking skills that must be applied when analyzing a prompt. Yes, because both are true, but it does take a masterful, advanced writer to observe this prompt and say, this can also go in the direction of I am there with Kylan. And Kylan did this and then I did that. Because remember, this is a story that is based on the scenario. And this can become really, really engaging for the student. So the C here would be the main person. This is a story about Kylan and I. Kylan is my best friend. He's my next door neighbor. And let's talk now about the setting. Bright dazzling lights. That can apply to daytime. These lights are from outside. I just sat here while a thunderstorm was in process, and you should see the lightning flash. Those were some bright dazzling lights reflecting on the walls from outside my window. But it can also take place at night. And the lights can come from daytime, nighttime, or they can come from an object, something that's very bright. It's entirely up to the student where the lights come from. The next thing that we want to think about is where is the story set? Where is all of this happening? And the story tells us that the lights are in Kylan's room. It's his home, it's his room, and at least the story needs to start there. Even if the story takes place and it goes in different directions, and you don't want to go too far away, you don't want to go different places without developing the plot of the story. But of course, we have to start with Kylan's room for some of this. So this has to happen in his room to some extent. Okay, so I've decided that this story is taking place on a Saturday night. I am hanging out at Kylan's home for a sleepover. We are best friends. Our parents know each other from since however long before we were born. None of that is unusual. And we're hanging out that Saturday night when we see these lights on the wall of his room. Okay. Now, what's the problem that Kylan is going to face? This prompt says to me, he was stunned by what he saw when he looked out the window. Now, we can think about many different things that can cause him to be stunned when he looks out the window because the lights are so bright. It could be a natural disaster. It could be a police light from a police vehicle. It could be something out of this world. So the question that we're looking to answer is, what created the light? What did he see outside? And in my story plan, we saw the lights and we were both shocked because when we looked out the window, we saw an alien spaceship. That is where I'm going with Kylan and these bright dazzling lights on the wall. Look out the window, and all of a sudden we are heading to a space sci-fi themed story. So in the description box below, what I've done is I've added a link for a free plan, a CSP outline for option 3 of the Creative Writing 2025. I haven't done a video on it, but when you see the plan, you'll see that I've done my 3 columns, my CSP, and you can download that plan and you can share it with your friends. In the very next video, we're going to talk about this is a plan. You're getting the plan for this story when you click the description box link below. Sandy, we're lost. I can't see our friends. Write a story which includes this line. So now we know the difference between includes this line and based on this scenario. Based on this scenario is different from includes this line, and you know why now. In the next video, what we're going to talk about would be how we address the plan, the analysis of the prompt, the CSP part, and we're going to add it to the ACE part, and we're going to come up with this CSPACE. In the next video, we're going to talk about the ACE. How do we break down the prompt? What happened next, and how did I feel? If you've made it to this portion of the video, if you've made it this far, I'm encouraging you to join me for this video next. Subscribe to the channel if you found this useful. Share the video with a friend, like and comment down below, and I'll see you in the very next one. Bye for now, everybody.